guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, this is going to be an awesome episode. If you've got out of the military and you've stopped competing in life again, this episode is going to get you back in the game. My brother John he does it all. He's a Swiss Army knife of positivity. He's an athlete. He's a Marine. He's a speaker. He's an author. He's a musician. He does it all. So, John, my brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, brother, I love my Marines. And by the way, I'm an Army dude, but I think the Marines have the best outfits, the best uniforms ever. Hands down, you guys win. And also, I love that you guys say once a Marine, always a Marine. And I love that mentality that my son actually called somebody an ex-Marine, and I was like, no, you don't call somebody. So I just want to say I love my Marines. And John, I just want to say, brother, I'm truly humbled and grateful for you coming on the show and for your friendship over these years.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yours as well.
And guys, if you stay till the end, John's going to give you 3 things that you can start using today to start getting out of your funk. And also, guys, if you pick up my new book, my new #1 selling book for $30, you get over $997 in bonuses. And I'll talk about that at the end. So, John, first question is, what is your definition of resiliency?
Being able to just come back and move forward in any kind of improvement that you can. So even it doesn't matter what it is, if you can improve something in your life a little bit each day, it helps you overall. And that's the biggest thing, is keep pushing forward. It doesn't matter what gets in your way, what slows you down, what knocks you back. You have to get up every single morning and keep going. We don't have another choice in it.
I love it. Or else look at the alternative, right? So let's hop into DeLorean. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine. Tell us about where you come from, where did you grow up, and why did you join the Marines?
Well, it goes all the way back to, my family history. All of my family is all military, and pretty much all of them are all Air Force. One Navy, one Army, Purple Hearts, and, they were all over the world, pretty much all military brats. I was brought the same way. I was a military brat, Air Force brat, born in Germany, lived all over the world, did all my schooling in Colorado. And of course, growing up in Colorado Springs, we have the Air Force there, we have the Army there. So you see a lot of the mentality that was going on. And I wanted neither one. I wanted something harder. So I went into the Marine Corps. Didn't do much. I was an ammo tech, so glorified bullet counter. Got stuck at it in Camp Pendleton. Got out of the Marine Corps, went back to Colorado, became law enforcement. So I did that for 9 years. And all of a sudden, my knees really started bothering me to the point where it hurt to even step, hurt to move, hurt to do anything. So I went back to the VA. They ended up doing 2 surgeries on my right knee in 2005, 2 scopes to clean out bone fragments. The first one they did on my left one in 2006. They gave me a staph infection. Every other surgery they did to get the infection out caused a new type of staph infection. So I ended up having 5 different types of staph. I had MRSA go septic when I was in the hospital. Luckily enough, they were able to clean out all the infection. And they cleaned everything out when I went out to San Francisco VA, and they're the ones that got rid of the infection. Came back to Denver, had a knee replacement done. Well, that one failed within the first year. And it wasn't because of the infections, that was all cleared out. It was because the top rod was loose. So faulty placement, I guess. Ended up having 4 different knee replacements, all fail within 6 years. during the second revision, I ended up waking up during that surgery when they were pounding the rod back into my femur. And then I think it was like shortly after that, like a week after, I ended up with a pulmonary embolism. So I ended up having a blood clot from the surgery go from my leg up into my lungs. So I was pretty much out of commission for almost a year, being on blood thinners, just trying to get rid of all the clots. So I ended up having the 4 different knee revisions. That the last one, they were like, there's nothing that we can do. We can either let you keep your leg and deal with the pain, but the top rod is loose, bottom rod's loose, the femur plate's broken, the tibia plate's broken, so there's nothing that they can do. I'm like, you know what? That's it. I've had enough. I'm done with the pain medicine. I'm done with it all. Take it off. So I ended up having the amputation December of 2016. And at that time, it definitely changed my life. So for, almost, 10 years, I had gone through so much pain that it was completely unbearable. The last surgery that I had, they couldn't give me any more pain medicine that I was already taking because I was already prescribed the highest dose. So when I came out of surgery, I was still in the same level of narcotics. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I can't take any more. I can't get rid of this pain. So after the amputation, I started cutting myself back on the narcotics immediately. And it was rough. It was, a hard go, but finally got rid of all the narcotics, all the pain, and started moving forward. And I had a lot of setbacks during the entire period with 2 different marriages that completely failed. Both were just infidelity. So it's like, not only dealing with the relationship side of it falling apart, but then dealing with my own emotions and own physical torment that I was going through. It was hell. So I almost, when was that? I think it was Memorial Day, 2017. Yeah, almost, I call quits. Ended up sorry, it's hard.
No, I'm a suicide attempt survivor, so I get it.
Yeah.
But this is stuff that needs to be talked about. There's no
Correct.
fluff. This is real shit.
Yeah. And people need to know too that it's like all the trying to break it out of that. All the hell that we go through, there's still light at the end of the tunnel. There's still things that we can do. We can't stop. We can't, that black hole, that rabbit hole that we go down is not an option. It's like how many different things do we do to try to prevent suicide? And the best way that I found is telling my story, because I was there. I was declared dead. So coming back from that, it is so much better on the other side. It's so much better where I'm at now, because it's like all the friends that we've lost from suicide. we can't change it. We can't go back and look at different signs to try to help or anything else. So all we can do is just say, I've been there. I've gone down that. And there's ways that we can actually move forward past that and find our niche. Because especially going, transferring from military to civilian life, civilian life is like a mess, and even going from, law enforcement, which pretty much the same regiment, yep, to nothing, back into civilian life, it's that transition that it sucks. But then also trying to do a transition from normal able body to being an amputee or being disabled, you have to find, who we are as individuals. And it's not, everything that we did in the service, everything that we do outside of the service, that's not who we are. Yeah, it helps, mold us and shape us into being better people, but it's not who we are as that person. So I'm a father, I'm a husband. I try to be a role model the best that I can. And I want to be the best that I can, for not only my wife, my family, my kids, my friends, my community, but for myself. I want to be better for myself, because the stronger that I am mentally, physically, and emotionally, the better off I am for everybody else. But if I don't fix myself first, then it's pointless.
But don't you think, because as people know, I lost my vision about 5-6 years ago, and I was totally blind for about 18 months. Now I got about 60% vision. But for me, I tell everybody, you have to accept the new normal. It is a new normal. I can't drive at night. I know I can't drive at night, and I have to accept it. But there's other things that I can excel at because I don't have my vision. My hearing's got a lot better, not according to my wife, but certain things I can do, because now I realize, I can't see so good, but I can hyper focus on other things. And now I have a platform because I am disabled and I'm doing what I'm doing. I can reach people that other people can't reach. So talk about how you have to get used to your new normal, and then you have to push past the new normal.
Yeah, so it's like every single morning that we wake up, we might have a dream where we are perfectly able. We go back to our normal selves as kids, where we're able to do everything. You're able to walk, you're able to see, you're able to hear. And then you wake up and you realize that's not who we are anymore. And there's plenty of days where I wake up and I'm like, this sucks. This completely is just, mind-boggling. But there's nothing else that we can do to fix that. Yeah, I have a prosthetic. Yeah, I have forearm crutches. Yeah, I have a wheelchair. But it's just a small hurdle that we have to cross and learn on how to live with that and excel at it. So like with my disability being an amputee, it kind of amplified other things that I was going through. So, with all the TBIs and head injuries that I've had, over the years, everything started triggering even harder. So then I found out that I was also, that I have ADHD. So the TBIs also like excel the ADHD condition, So like when I hyper focus on something, I really hyper focus on it. And there's like nothing I can do to get out of that. It's stuck. And if I'm working, say, on a project, doing something, I can work on that project nonstop, all day, not eating, barely using the bathroom. I can just keep on working on it. But at the same time, transitioning out of that to do anything else is so freaking hard to do sometimes. It sucks.
And I totally get it, because I have a brand new, well, it's not brand new, but now it's a 2015 Fender Strat sitting right by my bed. But I know if I go to pick it up, I can't put it down for a couple hours. So
Right.
it's like I'm not even going to go just try to strum it, because I know, well, if I can't play for a long time, I'm not even going to pick it up. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep. Yeah, I even have like my Martin acoustic, hanging up on the wall. And it's like, yeah, as soon as I grab that, I know that I'm going to be sitting there for a while. And yeah, it's so hard to stop and to go and do something else that has to be done.
All right, so let me ask you, because when I lost my eyesight and I told people I'm going to start a podcast, but they're like, but wait a minute, you're blind. And I'm like, well, back then, when I started, podcasts were just audio. It wasn't video. So I'm like, well, people are just listening. They don't care what I look like. So maybe I just got to hit record. So what was it like when you were looking down at your leg and be like, all right, I'm going to start competitive skiing? And I'm sure you had to have brothers like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. Well, the biggest thing on that is like, I wanted to get back into doing anything. So I ended up getting, a hold of the rec therapist here at the VA for Denver. And they're like, yeah, if you want to go skiing, we can take you skiing. So I started doing that and tried using my prosthetic to ski with. But there's so much movement in the prosthetic, and it's like a delayed reaction all the way down from, the top of my stump down to the ski, that I'd have to like completely overcorrect myself to try to get it to move. I'm like, hell with this. So I ended up starting to use just one ski, dropped the prosthetic and just started skiing on one ski. And it was so much easier to do it that way. All I had to worry about was the one, and off I went. It was great. So then when I went out to the winter sports clinic, I ended up getting, in touch with a coach there that he coaches ski racing. So I went out to Winter Park, that next season with NSCD and learning how to ski race. And that is like, it opened up so many more doors for me to see, the disabled part of sports. So even like one of the girls I ski with and ski race with, she's also partially blind. And her dad is, career service, like 35 years Army. And it's like, holy cow, that is a long freaking trek. But last year I was able to actually guide for her. So here we are going down through the ski race course. I'm guiding her ski racing on one leg. She's following me to be her guide, to show her where to go. And it was a great feeling just knowing that here we are, two disabled athletes working off of each other to ski race and to train. So yeah, there's so many.
And I want to say, I want to give a big shout out, because I didn't know this ahead of time, but you and my brother Sergeant Big Country Conwell actually play wheelchair basketball together. See, and that's why I love what I do and who I am, because I get to have all these friends, and you don't know who's friends with who. So I think it's awesome that you guys played, wheelchair basketball together. Guys, if you don't know Sergeant Big Country Conwell, you need to know him because he's making a big dent in in uh, in adaptive sports. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to Big Country. He actually has been on my show a couple times, so I just wanted to give that shout out. But I also want to give a shout out to another guy because it goes along with what you're talking about. My friend, his name is Aaron Hale, and he's blind, and he's deaf, and he actually ran the Badwater 135, and almost did as good as David Goggins did. And he had one of his friends guiding him through the trails. So, guys, once you have a friend, they can get you places that you never think you can get. That's why I wanted to mention it because I love the quote. I don't remember who said it, that if you want to go fast, run by yourself. But if you want to go far, build a team. And
Yep,
I think
absolutely.
you have an amazing team. You got your family, you got your bride, you have probably not a puppy now, right? But you have a best friend that is with you through thick and thin. So talk to us about how, if you're going to succeed outside of the military, you need to have a fire team like you did while you were in.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about that support, not only supporting you for everything that, you're going through, but also helps push you, and no matter what we're going through. So whatever we're doing, we want to try to excel into that next level, but you don't want your fire team sitting back and just sitting by a campfire. You want to push each other. You want to push that person to be better. So even like, Big Country and I playing wheelchair basketball, down in New Orleans a couple weeks ago. When we get on the court or we're competing against one another, yeah, we're competing and we are going hard. But we're trying to push each other to be better too, and we're all having fun doing it. And we're having a blast doing it. And yeah, if you if you see us on the court sometimes, you're like, what in the hell is going on? Here I am, the other day in my brand new, sports chair, and I'm pushing so hard trying to get past these two blockers that I end up flipping my chair forward and almost come out of my chair, and I have to push myself back up to get back up. But it's like that adrenaline and everything that we're still doing, we're still driving, and we are pushing as hard as we can, and having that drive just to be a little bit better makes it all worth it. But yeah, if you don't have somebody behind you or next to you to help push that, you're not going to get very far. You got to have somebody that's going to try to make you be a better person in any realm. So even like our spouses, my wife, she's had almost as many surgeries that I've had. And she has had a CSF leak now for, since February. She was pretty much bedridden and had to have nursing come in and everything else. But at that time, I have to step up and try to do everything I possibly can to assist her in healing and getting better and taking care of things. So if I'm not doing that and stepping up, how is she going to get better? How is she going to feel better? So even, like I said, at home, our spouses, just if we can push ourselves to be a better person for our spouse, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to try to be better. And once we start doing that, our kids are going to sit there and watch us. And they're like, well, if they can do that, I can do better. So it's an entire process that happens that we're all building off of each other to excel. Even our neighbors, my neighbor right next to me, also an Air Force veteran, we give each other crap all day long. And it's funny that, no matter what we're doing, we're always pushing each other just a little bit harder. So when he sees me doing projects here at the house, I start giving him crap about his honey-do list. And then, of course, the wives hear us and bantering back and forth, but it makes us be better husbands, a better community.
But don't you think, because this is something that I talk about all the time, marriage is not 50-50.
No.
Sometimes it's 0 and 100. Like, I almost took myself out about 8 weeks ago, but I just told my wife, I'm like, I'm done. I'm tired. Just hold me. Just lay in bed, let me cry, and hold me. So at that point, I was at 0. She was at 100. And then some days, I'm feeling better, and some days she might be down. So it might be 75-25. So a lot of people that get this 50-50 thing, it got it all twisted, because it's never 50-50. I don't care how you look at it. Nobody's feeling the same way as each person every day.
Yeah. It's those days that we are down that if the other side doesn't step up, then we're just dragging them down. So, and it's vice versa. If our spouse is down and we aren't stepping up, we're failing them and we're failing ourselves. So we have to try to do whatever we can to help, to be better, to be that support, because it's our team. Our spouse is our team. And if we don't have that team solid, if we're slacking, it's going to show.
All right. So let's talk about, because you've had to, well, I think last year was the word for pivot. Every other word was pivot. But you pivoted out of the military, then you went to law enforcement, then you pivoted out of that. Not because you wanted to, but because you had to. So talk about, what are some steps that veterans can take when you have to reimagine and reinvent yourself? Because like Sergeant Nick says in my Vetpreneur tribe, talks about, once you step off base, military doesn't give a shit about you. Your phone stops ringing. A lot of us don't have money coming in. You don't have a mission. You don't have camaraderie. And a lot of times we either end up looking at the bottom of a bottle or at the end of a barrel. So talk to us about, how do you go about reimagining and reinventing your life after service?
So the biggest thing is, finding, a support team, getting back into, a veteran community, because we're all going through the same thing. And there's a ton of different communities out there, on Facebook, on, whatever app that you want to use. There's people out there that are doing the same thing. They're going through the exact same thing. So the biggest thing is finding out what we want to do individually, and start out just writing it down, setting out a game plan. It's like, okay, I want to do this in my life. I want to go, I've never skydived. I want to go skydive, at least one time. So start that out, or write it down, put something down on paper. Once you put that on paper, then you have it set as a goal. And it's really physically writing it out, and not just typing it on your phone. Write it out. Write out whatever game plan you want to do, whatever thing you want to accomplish in life, write it down. And it could be anything. It could be small things. So if you're an amputee, a brand new amputee, write something down that you want to go walk with your prosthetic a mile, or you want to try running a mile, write it down. Start out with small objectives that you want to do and start doing those things, and reach out to the other people that are doing the same thing. And there's so many different groups that are out there, and people give crap about the VA, and yeah, I can't stand the VA. I hate the VA, and I have so many reasons to hate the VA. But at the same time, there are so many good things about the VA that you can actually link up with different spots in the VA, like rec therapy. There's different groups that are out there. So you can reach out and say, I want to be involved in this, and push for it. So that way you're linked in with other veterans that are doing the same thing, going through the same thing. So you guys can help feed off of each other and start doing things. Even like on your show, if people sit here and watch your show, they're going to see, okay, they're doing it. They're the same thing as me. I can do that then.
Yep.
They can reach out to us and link up and start doing small things to excel, to redefine
and that's something because I'm a member of the VA, and they're right here in my hometown, and they treat me amazing. I don't have any complaints. But when I talk to people about the VA, and they're like, yeah, I get my check from the VA, but I'm like, do you see the services that are available? You can go to classes and take classes for entrepreneurship for free. And I'm going to talk about, you mentioned, you didn't mean to use the word LinkedIn, but you said LinkedIn. So I'm going to actually use that. Is if you're a veteran, you get LinkedIn Premium for free for 1 year. That means you could take as many college courses as you want for free for 1 year. So I think I'm at 9 courses in just this year alone. So guys, you have to, and I tell everybody, nobody's coming to save you. It's an inside job. Whether you're going to be successful or you're going to be a failure, it's all an inside job. But you got to put in the work. Kind of like you could have said, I want to go skiing, but if you never seen snow, well, you're probably not going to be, you know what I mean? So talk to us about, a lot of us, and I love that you said to write stuff down, because I write everything down. I write my goals down every day. I write my calendar. I have a physical calendar, and I also have a phone calendar. But I love how you talk about writing your goals down, because there was a study, John, in I think it was University of New Hampshire, that 93% of people that write down their goals actually hit them. There's something about pen to paper that makes it real. And I think the military is great with that, because we always had 8 million pens and those little pads of paper that we kept everywhere. But there's something about pen to paper. Why do you think that is?
I think it's actually not only seeing it on a document or a form, but it's actually the movement of our hand and our brain that links it together to make it real. So if we're just sitting here typing on our phone, yeah, we can push buttons. It's not the same thing. It's like even using a laptop, using a keyboard, it's not the same thing. Your fingers are just moving a little bit, and there's no actual physical thing that we have to do to make it real. It's small movements that it just doesn't work the same. So even like with my phone, I have a stylus on my phone where I can actually pull the stylus out and write something on my screen, and it helps better than just typing it out. But I have the same thing. I have a whiteboard. I have several different whiteboards. I haven't changed my calendar on it at all for the last several months. So it's been staring me right in the face that I need to change it again. And yeah, I'm slacking on it, to be honest.
All right,
But
so let me ask you a question because I've had several Mr. Olympias, Lee Haney, Dorian Yates, on my friends list that I've talked to time and time again, and they always kept a journal of their workouts, their macros, and even today, even though they've been retired for how many years, they still write down their macros, they still write down their workouts. And I think once you start writing stuff down, like for me, if I say, okay, I'm speaking to John at 11 o'clock, and then I have another appointment at 2 o'clock, and then after that, I want to go clean the garage for a while. And if I don't clean the garage, then that next day when I said I was going to clean the garage, I get pissed off at myself because I'm like,
yeah,
I wrote it down. So there's no reason I shouldn't accomplish it if I wrote it down. So being an athlete, how important is it to write down the things for your sport?
it's very important. I mean, because if we don't write it down and have those objectives set out, then it's just kind of like a thought, and we're not going to make it real. When we write it down and have those objectives lined out on how we want to get to a certain spot, it makes it that much more real that we have to accomplish those small goals to get to our main objective. So even for like me, trying to get to the Paralympics, the Winter Paralympics in 26 in Turin, I have to look ahead in the far off distance, even though it's not that far off. So
Yeah.
the cutoff for our list for the Olympics, I think is going to be like January 4th of 26. Well, before that, there's only 2 races that we're going to be able to hit before that cutoff in the 26 season. So it has to happen this year for me to actually be ranked up higher in the points so I can make the list in 26. So for me to do that, I have to accomplish my small objectives to actually be faster, to be better. And it comes down to the daily objectives on how I'm going to do that. So everything has to be broken down into steps, into micro steps for everyday involvement. So even for me to actually do any of that, I have to have things accomplished here at the house, things done here at the house, so that way I don't have to worry about it during season, but I know it's going to be taken care of here. So it's even those small steps that I have to do. And even like you said about the garage, I can't go into my garage and start a new task now until I finish cleaning my garage section, because I've just done 6 other major projects. So now my garage is trashed again, and I have to go in and reset everything so that way I can move on to the next task. So it's those small little steps that if we don't fix it, we're not going to be able to get into the next step.
But don't you think, like if you spent more than 3 days in the military, you know how to write a 9-line, you know how to have an SOP. But I think a lot of people, when it comes to goal setting, they don't set out their goals far enough and then backwards plan, because a lot of people, like you said, the Paralympics are 2026. So you have to start backwards planning from the day you get to Turin. But you have to start planning that way. You can't plan now till then. You have to plan then until now. And I think a lot of people just don't get that you have to figure out your goal and then backwards plan. You're more likely to hit your goal instead of just saying, well, I'm going to the Olympics in 2026 and going willy-nilly. It doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. You can't just, set a goal out there and then not have a way to get there. You know, it's like, it's the same thing with, you know, going to college and earning a degree. It's like each class you have to take to earn that degree. It's like our degree is up here. To get to that point, we just can't say, you know, I'm just going to go take classes and earn it. No, then there's prerequisites that you have to follow to actually get to that next step, to get to the next step, you know, to finally take the class that, you know, you have to take to earn your degree. So all those things have to be in place. Everything has to be hit. And it's the same thing with anything that we do. I mean, hell, we can even think about just driving. If we went in, you know, when we were 15 years old and we went in to go get our license, well, we couldn't just hop in a car and just go. We had to actually learn on how to do things, learn how to operate the clutch, learn how to merge into traffic, you know, learn how to make sure that, you know, our mirrors are all lined up. So even those small little details plans out for further down the road for us to get to where we're going.
Okay, now, you know, most of my listeners, my average, my perfect avatar is a 45-year-old male, father of 3, veteran, brand new business owner. And when I'm coaching a client, and if they're a veteran, I'm like, when did you stop competing? Because when we're in the military, we competed for everything. It could be the stupidest. It could be playing poker. It could be playing cards. It could be while we're doing PT. It could be at the bar, who drank the most, who picked up the hottest chick. We competed for every single thing. And then, like, when we get out of the military, I think we stop competing. Like, if you plan on going to Turin in 2026, I'm sure that you have the list of your top 10 competitors, what their times are, how they're doing, what they're doing, and you're competing with them every single day. They might not know it, but you're in competition. So talk about how important competing again after military is.
It is so important. And, you know, even for myself, you know, when I'm pulling up, you know, the top competitors that I'm looking at, I'm seeing, you know, because most of my competition are younger than my own kids. And I'm sitting there watching their workout videos and how they're doing things. Like one of the amputees is from Germany, and a younger guy, and this kid is in shape and he can send it and he works out hard. So watching those videos, it's like, okay, if he's able to sit there and do that, I can do the same thing. So how do I get that? How do I get myself to be stronger, to be able to do these things? So, and it doesn't have to be any kind of sport. I mean, anything that we are doing, yeah, like you said, especially in service, we compete at everything. That's just the way it is. So when we're out and not, you know, we're just being a dad, being in dad role, we can still compete. We can still compete with our neighbors. We can still compete against any kind of business. If we're a business owner, we can compete against ourselves. And it's setting out objectives, you know, no matter what it is, to be a little bit faster, be a little bit better, make a little bit more profit. Any kind of competition that we can do for ourselves and set that goal up, we have to do it. It's just who we are.
All right. So, because I love that, you know, you're a father, you're a husband, a friend, family member. Um, if you're competing, you're a business owner. So talk to us about how important the word no is. Like for me, if it's not God, family and friends, business, I'm probably going to say no. 99% of the time, if it doesn't align with my values and my goals, I'm going to say no. And I think the people that are most successful say no a lot. So how
Right.
important is the word no in your world?
Well, and especially like us, I mean, yeah, we want to be able to help everyone that we can. We want to help do whatever we can. But yeah, there are times where it's, if we have anything that's interfering with, like you said, God, family, country, if it's interfering with our values, obviously you have to say no. You can't. You cannot go against your moral compass. If it's going against your family, obviously no, because that's who we're here for. If we're trying to do something and it's going to interfere with our timeline for our goals, we have to say no. You know, if there's an event that's coming up and it's like, okay, you know, these people want me to come to this event, but at the same time, I have these other things that I have to do, that I have to get done, you know, whether it be at the house, for your family, you know, for your business. There are many times where you're going to have to say, no, I don't have time for that. No, it's interfering with everything else that I have going on. No, it's not going to work. But you have to have those lines that you do not cross. You have to have those boundaries set in place, and you have to make sure you do not cross those boundaries. You don't cross those lines.
And, you know, for me, you know, my wife, my bride, she's my everything. Um, but I know that if I'm hanging out with five guys that are going to the bar, cheating on their old ladies, I'm probably going to be number six.
Right.
But if I hang out with five guys that are family orientated, loving God, loving their family, loving their wives and their kids, and they're succeeding in their marriage and in business, if I'm hanging out with those five guys, I'm going to be number six. So talk about
Absolutely.
how important your circle is.
Yeah, our circle helps influence who we become and who we are. So if you have people that are just out drinking all the time, that's not a role that you want to fall into, because it burns down the lines of everything that you want to try to accomplish in life. So, you know, I have, you know, a neighbor down the road that every time I see him, he's drinking. Every single time I see him. I don't want to be a part of that world at all. So even like my wife and I, we rarely drink. If we do have an alcoholic drink, it might be one at dinner, and that's it. We know our limits, and we're not going to cross those limits. But both of us have established boundaries that we don't want to cross. We don't want to go down that road. We don't want to put ourselves into a position where it's going to harm us at all. So you have to have those boundaries in place to make sure it doesn't happen. And having the circle of friends that have the same beliefs will help you achieve that goal. But if you have friends that are out trying to do anything that's immoral or unethical, it will destroy you, because they will bring you down. So you have to step aside from that circle, you know, and not be a part of it. You have to completely push it out.
Okay, so and you know, one thing we'll talk about sports for a minute is, you know, I believe that consistency trumps intensity over the long haul. Like if I know, like if I'm going to be, of course, I'm not an Olympic athlete, never will be. But I know that if I'm going against the guy and we're going to Turin and I've improved whatever sport it is, say if it's basketball, if I can just improve just 1 inch a month, by the time I get there, that's 2 feet. But if I go against a guy that he's just going to start competing when he gets there, and he's just going to give it intensity, I know because I've been consistent over the long haul that I'm going to beat him because consistency trumps intensity. So how important is it to be consistent, but also to stack your wins like James, like some of the books that we read. How important is it to be consistent, but also to stack your wins and celebrate your little wins?
Yeah, it's major. I mean, and it's pretty much the entire process of life. Is if we're pushing ourselves just a little bit and doing things consistently every day a little bit, and we make that minor adjustment to be a little bit better, down the road we're going to excel further than anything else or anybody else. That and the intensity, the intensity is important, but it's important when it matters. The consistency is important every single time. So like one of the guys that, prime example, another Marine, Oscar, he's actually out in Paris right now shooting, competition pistol. And he is just on it. And he practices. And it's consistent. Because his small minor adjustments that he can make makes him one of the top shooters in the world. For me, trying to go up and compete against him, when we shot down in New Orleans, he definitely outshot me. I took fourth, he took first. And it's those consistencies that we make. So, I have the intensity, absolutely. But my intensity didn't matter because the consistency that he had every day of training to do that, obviously he won. So, for the small things of me being able to try to train for competition air pistol or competition, pistol for 10 meters, 25 meters, 50 meters, if I'm not out there sitting there consistently training for that, it doesn't matter about anything else. And especially for any of us veterans that have been out there, going to the rifle range, if we're not out there training to do it, and we think that we're just going to grab a rifle and still keep the same shot target, same grouping, it's not going to happen because we haven't trained our mind and our body to do the same thing.
So there's something to say. So what you're saying, it basically is there something to, Seth Curry, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant getting to practice 2 hours early, staying 2 hours late, shooting 1,000 free throws before they go get showered. So there's something to say about consistency, because there's been a lot of great NBA players that come, but those three are at the top of the heap is because they put in, like Ed Milet said, they put in the reps. They just do one more. So don't you think that's important? Is to they get there early. They got their practice 2 hours early, like Tom Brady. Stay 2 hours late. They work on their nutrition. They work on their mind, and they're focused on one thing. So how important is? I love the word focus. Follow one course until successful. So how important is focusing on one thing and not having that shiny object syndrome?
Right. Yeah, it's the same thing, even for me training for when I'm skiing, it's like we pick out that one thing that we want to fix that day, to make that small adjustment, that one small thing that we work on can make us or break us. So, just a small body position, small movement, our breathing, it doesn't matter what that one thing is, but that one thing, if it needs to be corrected, you have to train that one small thing to have it consistent for progress down the road. And I mean, it's like one of the things that, I forget where it came from or who said it, but it's like the one thing that we do every single morning. The first thing that you must do is make your bed.
Make your bed. Yeah.
And that's the first step every day. And, especially being in like the disabled world, we have to get up and still make those progresses, still make those small things just to make small improvements. And the small improvements makes huge improvements down the road.
All right. So as we're winding down, this is a teaching podcast. So if somebody's getting out of the military today, what would be your top 3 pieces of advice to help them transition out and to become successful in the civilian sector?
First thing is set your goals. Write down your goals. Because your goals that you had in service have completely changed in civilian world. Set your goals. Second thing is you need to pick your circle. And if you're single getting out, pick your bride. And I'm not talking to individual person. You need to pick what your morals are, what your character is, what your ethics are. You need to set that out and have the ideal person that you want as your spouse to help you excel in life, to help you excel spiritually, to have that teammate. Because if you just pick somebody up at a bar or elsewhere, they're not going to be the match. They're not going to help you excel in life. So pick your circle, pick your spouse, have those set, because you want that circle to be solid. You don't want it to be falling off. And I would say that,
and I love that, and because I'll talk to somebody and I'll say, well, what do you want in a bride or a husband? They'll tell me everything they don't want. And I'm like, that's not what I asked you. I asked you what you do want, because life will give you exactly what you ask of it. So if you're giving me everything you don't want in a man or a wife, that's exactly what you're going to get. And I think that's a great point, John. So what was your third point? Your third call to action?
I'd say you have to find out who you are individually. And, a lot of us that go in, especially into the Corps and then into law enforcement, most of the guys that I went in a boot with, we all followed the same path. We all went Marine Corps and then got out and went law enforcement or fire. So, yeah, it helps shape us on who we are, but it doesn't define us. So the definition of who we are, we need to know what our integrity is, what our morals are, what our ethics are, who we are as that person. We need to define ourselves and have that set. Because if we go out into the world and we don't have our morals and our ethics and our integrity, we are going to get lost and we are going to fall and we are going to just shatter. So you have to have your solid foundation and make sure that you're solid. Because we can't assist anybody else. We can't excel in life. We can't have a good circle, and we won't have a good spouse. So making sure that our self is centered.
I love it. So what is on the horizon for you now? What's coming up, and how can we find you, and how can we support your mission to get to Turin in 2026?
So I do have my social media page and also my webpage. So it's oneleggedOutlaw.com. I share all my Instagram and social media through that as well. Hopefully it still links and working. On like Facebook, you can find me, John Papai, Adaptive Athlete, and PAPAI. That's my main athlete page. And for me, that's my goal out there, is to become, make the 26 Winter Olympics and compete in it. But that's also just a small niche on it. So I'm also, helping, instructing, and teaching others with disabilities to actually learn how to ski. So that's my next alternate goal down past the Winter Olympics. I still want to teach. I want to teach, others with disabilities on how to ski. And then I also have side goals too, is either getting more competitive in shooting for the competition shooting side of it, and then also wheelchair basketball, jumping hard into it. So I have plans that are out there, in the future after my skiing career. Because obviously I can't stay here and ski race on one leg for the rest of my life. Not a possibility, not an option. My body is going to start wearing down. I'm competing against kids that are, kids. So I still have everything out there in the future that I want to be and where I want to go. And it's just keep moving forward, one step at a time.
I love it, John, and I just want to say thank you, brother. And like I said, if anybody buys my new book, they will get autographed copies sent to their house with a few gifts, and also they will get over $997 in bonuses just for picking up the new book. So if you guys want the book, write that down below. But guys, as you know, I'm a big Joel Osteen guy. I love my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I'm never afraid to say it. Something that Joel says, and I use it at the end of every show, is every morning we wake up, we have a choice. We can be a victim or we can be a victor. And if you listen to this show, you're no longer a victim of your past, but you're a victor of your present and your future. So I just want to say thank you guys for always showing up. Big Country Conwell, I love you, brother. I wish I could watch you two go head to head like two friggin' bulls. That's got to be awesome. And John, I'm going to do whatever I can to help you get to Turin in 2026.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I love you, brother, and I'm so grateful for everything you do. And thank you for your friendship. And hopefully we can build a generational relationship from this point on.
Absolutely. Sounds good to me.
I love it. So, guys, make sure you check out his websites. His social media is hot. I love it. And, guys, just remember, vertical momentum. The only way to go is up. I love you guys. I will talk to you later. John, my brother, we will be talking.
Sounds good. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.